Let's look at the following system or the following topic, the endocrine system. Firstly, you need to refer to page 14 of the exam guideline. Remember, the exam guideline, this is your life sciences Bible. Every time you are studying, you are going through a topic, you are preparing for class, refer to the exam guidelines so you know very well what you need to cover on that particular topic. The topic is covered in paper 1 and carries 34 marks. So this is the 34, this is the easy 34 marks that you need to bag. Okay, first and foremost, when you tackle the topic, firstly, let's dissect what this means. Let's dissect what the endocrine system means. In life sciences, for instance, when we talking about a system, automatically what should ring a bell is, oh, in a system, meaning here I have organs working together to perform one particular function. In this instance, it's to maintain balance of the internal environment. So we're maintaining balance of the internal environment. So it's to maintain this balance. Right. Now, what organs are we referring to? We're referring, in this instance, when we say organs, we're referring to all the glands that you find in the body, but not just any glands that secrete hormones. Now, all the glands in the endocrine system will secrete hormones. Now, hormones these are chemical messengers. Chemical messengers. So, beside the fact that they are chemical messengers, they have target organs. So, meaning they won't work on just anything, but they will have that particular organ where this particular hormone works on. So, they've got target organs. Now, before we even go any further, let's recap. Now, what I've said so far. If it's a system, it's made up of organs. In this instance, we're speaking about the endocrine or the endocrine system. So the endocrine system, what organs make up the endocrine system? It's all the glands found throughout our whole entire body that secretes hormones. What are hormones? Hormones are chemical messengers that work on target organs to bring about a certain response. But remember, this response basically is to maintain balance. One, it's to activate things like your growth. You see, so the body uses two types of systems. The first system would be the nervous system. When we're looking for that quick automatic response, the quick response, that the body will use the nervous system. But for that long lasting response, the body now relies on the endocrine system. Now, different glands will secrete different hormones. Now, let's not get carried away. Now, let's look at firstly what you need to know. According to the exam guidelines, you need to be able to differentiate between an exo and an endo, right? An endocrine, exocrine. So both of these are glands. So meaning in the body we find two types of glands, endo and exo. So endocrine glands, as I've mentioned before, these ones secrete hormones. Now, secondly, they are ductless. So they won't have any ducts, they won't have a particular secretion, but whatever they're secreting, it's hormone, and they secrete directly into the bloodstream. So this one's are secreting directly into our bloodstream. Okay. Now, on the other hand, the exocrine system. Now, these ones will have ducts, but we're not studying these ones for now. But it is helpful to mention, because when we look at one particular gland in the endocrine, it fits on both. It's an endocrine, and it also fits on an as an exocrine gland. So these ones will have ducts. Now, these ones will have a secretion What secretion? Example of a secretion in this instance would be sweat. Let's write it. Would be sweat. Would be oil. Would be what the pancreas insulin. What the pancreas secretes insulin, right? So as long as it's got a duct and it does not secrete a hormone, it's known as an exocrine gland. But if it's secreting directly into the blood, it's secreting a hormone and it's ductless, then it's an endocrine gland. Okay, so meaning if we say it's got a duct, it will be a gland that looks something like this. There will be a secretion inside here, and then this would be what we now refer to as a duct. Now, this can secrete onto a surface, for example, onto the skin, example, the sweat, or on the other hand, if it's an endocrine gland, this will be ductless. This will be found inside the body secreting hormones, so it's secreting directly into the bloodstream. So if it does not have that, it's secreting directly into the bloodstream. It's an endo. Now, if you think about it, endo, the word endo simply means inside, and then the word exit. So this will mean outside. You see, so inside the bloodstream, outside the blood. So if it's secreting inside, it's an endocrine gland. Now, you might be asking the exam to tabulate the differences between an exo and an endocrine gland. Remember, when you're tabulating differences, you would now firstly draw a table. On one side, you'll be talking about an exocrine gland. On the other side, you'll be talking about an endocrine gland. That's your first mark. Now, if you mention on this side, these ones have ducts, you need to mention on the other side, these ones are ductless. Now, you don't confuse the points. If you start speaking about duct on the side, you speak about ductless on the other side. Now, these ones have a secretion, and then these ones secrete what? Hormones. So now I am now comparing the difference between the two glands using what? A table. So the 1 mark will be for a table. The fact that I've mentioned with this one is an endocrine gland. So this one is a duct. This one is ductless. This one is secretion. This one is hormones. An easy 5 marks in the bag. Now, once you've figured that out, once you've known that out, that's the first thing that you needed to cover. Now, the second thing now, you would see a diagram similar to this in an exam where now you are asked questions based on this diagram. So the first thing that you need to know, let's erase this because we're going to need this space here. The first thing that you need to know now, it's the name of each and every gland. 1, 2 glands that are found in our brain. 2 of them that are found in our brain. The first one would be the hypothalamus. All right, we'll get to the functions. The second one would now be this P-shaped gland that secretes so many hormones. We've mentioned this when we're talking about human reproduction, the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland. Double check my spelling. Now, the third gland will be found around our neck. This gland, these are all endocrine gland. This is the second one. This is the third one. This one is bow tie shaped or butterfly shaped, found around our neck, known as the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland, found around our neck. Now, you need to be able to identify each and every gland and where it's found. First, that's the first thing. Now, if you remember from grade 11, we mentioned this gland a lot when we're doing the digestive system or the human nutrition as per textbook. Now, which brings us to our fourth gland. Our fourth gland now, this will be the pancreas. This is the pancreas. Now look at the location, look at the shape, right? This is the pancreas. It's an endocrine gland. Now you have these two other glands that are found right on top of the kidney. Hence their name, ad, meaning on top. Renal, this is referring to the kidney gland. Right? So this is the adrenal gland found right on top of our kidney. Then there's glands found in the female bodies, which make up part of the female reproductive system, which are the ovaries. Now, if you remember very well, we were mentioning the ovaries secretes this hormone, secretes that hormone. So as long as it's secreting a hormone, it's a gland, not just any gland, an endocrine gland. Now, in males, there's a gland found in males known as the testes. Now, the testes also form part of an endocrine gland. Now, let's go back. How many glands? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, first one is the hypothalamus. The second gland, the pituitary gland. Third gland, thyroid gland. Fourth gland, pancreas. The fifth gland, the adrenal gland. The sixth one, the ovaries. And then lastly, the testes. Now, all these glands are or form part of the endocrine system. So the collection of these glands, collectively these glands perform one function, which is to maintain the internal environment of our bodies. Hence now they make up a system. But now this system is not just made up of organs, but it's made up of special organs which are known as glands that secrete hormones. Now, what hormones do these glands secrete? Let's look at the hypothalamus. Firstly, the hypothalamus secretes ADH. Okay. Well, I'll get into details with each and every gland and what they do, but you need to be able to name the gland and name the hormone. So the pituitary gland, on the other hand, secretes quite a number of hormones. Firstly, TSH, remember, LH, what's the other one? FSH, and then lastly, the growth hormone, GH. So the pituitary gland secretes TSH, LH, FSH, and GH. The thyroid gland, on the other hand, secretes thyroxine. So the thyroid gland secretes thyroxine. Let's move on. The pancreas secretes two hormones as well. It secretes insulin and glucagon. Right. The adrenal gland also secretes two hormones. The first one would be the aldosterone, and it also secretes adrenaline. It also secretes adrenaline, the fight or flight hormone, the famous hormone. Now the ovaries secretes estrogen, two hormones that are secreted here. It's estrogen. Let's also mention progesterone. Progesterone. Now, lastly, the testes will secrete testosterone. Let's recap. The hypothalamus secretes ADH. The pituitary gland secretes TSH, LH, FSH, and GH. The thyroid gland secretes thyroxine. The pancreas secretes insulin and glucagon. The adrenal gland secretes aldosterone and adrenaline. The ovaries secretes estrogen and progesterone. The testis secretes testosterone. Okay. Now, the next thing now would be now knowing what each and every hormone is responsible for. So before we get to that, let's do this ICSI activity to see if you are following.